What up, what up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm MoedotJ. We are locked in. This is episode 11 of All American. And last week we seen Mo is exactly who we thought she was. Made Coop believe she's back to take care of the neighborhood and the community. But the whole time she's plotting revenge. Now see, if Coop would have had some kind of high school education, she would have seen this miles and miles away, but that's neither here or there. But shout out to the notification gang. If you're new to the channel, you'll be a part of this. Hit the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. Now this week, we got to see what Spencer's going to do. Now we know he has a lot of stuff on his back, but he got to put all that to the side and focus on himself. The end of the school year is almost here. We're trying to get into college still. So let's jump into this. I'm not going to hold y'all up. This is episode 11 of All American, The Bigger Picture. We start the episode off with Liv in her room. Now, you know she has her podcast, so I guess she's back on it heavy now since she got to get back in rehab again. She got to go through all these steps. Might as well have something I can talk, a platform I can talk on. And today's topic is about labels. Her whole life, she's always been labeled. Started off as the twin, then the addict, and now she's labeled as the DA's daughter. So she wants to break these labels. She wants to be herself. She wants to be Olivia Baker. No longer anything else. Whole time she's on the podcast, we see Spencer. He's out there in Crenshaw at the cafe. They got his name up there. It's the Spencer James special sandwich. The dude behind the counter is acting like a groupie. Like, man, you're good out there, man. An MVP, man. Can I get a selfie? Like, hey, bro, they got a sandwich named after him. I'm sure you know him. You can just be like, hey, what's up, Spence? Can I get a picture? But they ain't even got the girls on them. Spencer's out here running routes. Now there's a scout out here, and it seems like he knows Billy from the past. They went to school together. They were both Crenshaw Chargers, you know what I'm saying? He actually has a Charger tattoo on his backside. I don't know why, don't ask me. But they're looking at Spencer, and he's like, dang, it doesn't look like that bullet slowed him down any. Baker's like, oh, nah, not at all. Now this guy, he's a coach for Texas Northern Tech University. That just sounds like trash. Spencer jogs over there. Hey, what's going on, coach? Oh, Spencer, here goes Coach Rollo. And then Spence says his last name. Like, hey, man, you're a legend around here, man. Your records and stuff. Oh, man, you top dog around here. It's crazy, though. There's a prank that you did your senior year against Inglewood. No one's ever topped it. And Billy's like, yeah, did they ever find that goat? And everyone just starts laughing. Spencer don't know what's going on. He just, ha. But the coach says, hey, son, did you go that hard at every practice? And Spencer's like, yeah, game, practice, it don't matter. I'm show up, I'm do 150%. So the recruiter from Texas Northern Tech, he was like, okay, I like that. I want to see my young men out there working hard all day. We're going to talk about this later. Spencer, this whole time we known Spencer since season 1, he's been trying to get a scholarship, go to school. Billy's like, hey, man, this is your chance. And of course, Spencer goes from being happy to, this is my chance. Yeah, man, this is your chance to get a scholarship. Even if it is at Texas Northern Tech. I never knock anybody for going to college, and it'll get you out of the hood, man. That's all that really matters. Jordan ain't passed concussion protocol. He ain't tell his parents about, oh my God, he didn't tell him about the wedding and being married. And he's just been sitting in the house in the same spot for 2 weeks, just playing the game. Liv is like, boy, you're funky. And he's like, man, don't worry about it. Don't ask me about Simone. She's off the grid right now. Her parents probably got her locked up. Now Billy comes in. And Laura's on the phone like, oh no, we getting this marriage annulled. My son was underage. It was illegal. There's no statute of limitations on that. And Billy's like, man, let me talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Off away from the kids. Now they get to talking, and Billy's, it's my son. He loves football. He loves the girl. But man, let's focus on getting him through his recovery. And Laura's like, no, forget that. Our underage son got married, and that ain't going down. We're going to get an annulment, which, that's easy. $200, you can get an annulment. And since they're underage, you're good to go. But then she starts throwing jabs at Billy, talking about, I'm a woman. I can multitask. I can multitask too. I got my hands crossed and I'm talking. But she's looking at it like, as a straight mom, I don't want none of this extra stuff. He doesn't need to be with a girl that has a kid, which I agree with. But Billy's like, let's just let him focus through his physical recovery, and then we'll worry about that because it's not really his kid. So, it's kind of harsh, but we need to worry about our son recovering physically. Coop pulls up, Ollie in Beverly Hills. Hey, what's going on, Layla? You all right? Is everything good? She's like, yeah, how couldn't I notice that my friend, man, how couldn't I notice that Liv was back to drinking? And Cooper's like, don't look at it like that. You do so much for her. You're always there for her. But y'all was beefing at the time, and man, you know, these kids, I tell you, they live adult lives in this show, and there's no way around it. Like, the stuff that they go through, I'm like, man, this is either some rich white people stuff, or this is like some adult stuff. When I was in high school, we ain't had these problems. But people, if you see your friend drinking, just talk to them and make sure that they're all right. Little Dylan done grown up. He outside macking the young lady Jasmine. Now they're sitting there and they're just talking about movies, comics, you know, stuff that middle schoolers stuff, you know what I'm saying? Stuff that they talk about, that puppy love. Now, Grace comes over there and she sees, and Dylan's like, oh, mom, this is Jasmine. Yeah, I like her, mom. He didn't say that, but so she sits there and they talk and they ask her about Comic-Con. They're like, where's your dad? She's like, oh, he's normally on time. So Gracie, being a good black woman and a good mother, she's like, oh, well, we'll sit here and wait till your dad gets here so she won't be there by herself. And guess who turns up to be her dad? It turns out to be our favorite Principal Carter. And Gracie's looking at him like, huh? Ooh, you got a cute little daughter. I ain't know you know what I'm saying? I ain't know you was out here in these streets. And he looking at her like, wait a minute, that's Spencer's mom, ain't it? I might be able to get back at Billy with this one. So we're gonna see how this little love triangle plays out. Spencer and the crew, you know, we got our field goal kicker in here. We all just kicking it. And you know Spencer, now it's time to get focused. Back from kid mode to focus mode. You know what, guys? In these next 24 hours, I can't let that recruiter leave here because I gotta lock down a scholarship. They're like, nah, Spence, you the hottest dude in the city, man. You good. You got it on L's. They're like, don't you have anybody else recruiting you? You're like, nah, after I got shot, ain't nobody really looking at me. You know what I'm saying? They just hovering around. Now, our favorite kicker, she's looking on her phone, and it turns out the recruiter is meeting with Cam, Spence's arch nemesis. So you know they're going to have to battle it out for this spot probably. King Cam Dash, number 14. 6,700 views? Okay. Future's looking bright. Spencer, you better step up your game. Now, Liv is finally getting the help from somebody I think she can relate to and she can honestly open up with and let them know that this is exactly what's going on. And it's Nurse Joy. And Nurse Joy is telling her exactly what I always say. Focus on yourself first. Get yourself together before you go worry about somebody else. This is the same thing that we're saying to Spencer. Liv, focus on yourself. Take the time to heal yourself and figure out what's wrong with yourself, and then you can start working on helping other people out. Now, she is going to a vigil. They said there was a young lady that was killed and the cops are still on the job. So they're having a vigil tonight with Kia, Spencer's ex. Spencer's ex. But yeah, they're going to have a vigil. She's going to be there. And guess who shows up during all of this? Good old Spencer James. Now, there's only two places these people hang out. The Beverly Hills Cafe and the Crenshaw Cafe. But he pulls up. He's talking to Liv. And, you know, she's kind of like, yeah, we can't get Jordan out of the state he's in. And Spencer's like, dang, I really need to talk to him. And then Nurse Joy's like, hey, you don't see me, my favorite student athlete? Now we got a conflict of interest. She's helping out both of them. But Spencer talks to Liv and, you know, he tells her, oh, let me go ahead and get to work. And you know what Nurse Joy does. You want to know all the tea. Talk about, whatever this is, you better tell me that, because I can see it all over you. Talking to Liv, and Liv is like, Now, Jordan in there on the Xbox, he just playing the game, chilling, got this big-ass box of pizza over here, look cold as hell now. JJ and Asher both show up unexpectedly. Now, Asher said Billy texted him and is like, hey, pull up on Jordan. JJ is like, nah, Spencer called me and I came over. So Jordan's like, okay, well, y'all checked in. I ain't doing nothing. Get out of here. Report in, tell them y'all seen me and get up out of here. And they're like, nah, we about to go, you know what I'm saying, get on the field, get this body in shape. You should come out with us. Now, Jordan, he's all in his feelings. He playing the game. He ain't winning. We know that. And he's like, nah, well, how about you get better, JJ? Get your body in shape and be good at quarterback one so we can win some games. And they're like, hey, man, what's wrong with you? We here for you. We your boys. But JJ being JJ, he goes up front, unplugs the Xbox, and he walks off like, hey, you want this? It'll be on the field with me, and Asher. So he's kind of squashing the beef with Asher so they can get Jordan to come out. Coop in here studying her butt off for this GED test, and I'm like, man, you might as well just finish out the school year. It's so much easier to graduate than getting a GED. But Preach shows up on her, and he starts giving her some lessons just to relate with social studies. He's talking about, man, you got to study people. This is what I did when I was in prison. You got to watch them, learn their moves, see whatever they do on a, day-to-day basis, follow their footsteps. Low key, that's just foreshadowing for, hey, you need to be watching Mo and watch what she does. But Coop's like, man, look, Preach, you kind of smart. I ain't think you was that smart, and I need help with this GED. How about you tutor me and I'll pay you cash? Preach is like, do I really want to be, I just got out of jail. You a snitch. I do need some money though, and I am kind of smart. All right, bet. He probably gonna be her tutor. Liv pulls up to the house, and her mom's in there watching the news, and you see Mo on TV talking about the Tamika case, and Laura hurries up and turns it off. Now, this is going to be a delicate situation for her because this is Black Lives Matter, and she is a white woman, but she married to a black man and had 2 mixed children. So it's going to be very, very, very delicate for her. But Liv comes in like, hey, how about you come on my podcast? Like, this is a serious situation, Liv. You can't just be having the DA on the podcast. Yeah, this is Liv's mom, and I'm the DA, and this is what I think about. No, any message you relay is going to have to be through like a big news media outlet. You can't release this information on a slain girl over a child's podcast. Like, come on, you just can't. Okay. Grace and Principal keep running into each other. I might see something, little hearts coming up in the air. Now she comes in there and she starts making jokes. Oh, Jasmine, she's so sweet and nice. She must get that from her mom. Now, Principal, he's like, yeah, she does. And Gracie's doing it as a joke. Like, oh man, she get her looks for her mom. And he's like, well, her mom actually passed a year ago and I'm getting used to saying that. So Gracie's like, oh, my bad. I ain't even know. But they start talking, and he's like, yeah, Jasmine, she's, she's still getting used to what's going on now. My sister that was helping me, she actually moved. So right now, it just feels like my daughter is distant with me. And Grace is like, I understand where you're coming from. Just let your daughter know that you're here for her and spend more time with her. So I could see Grace stepping up and being that motherly figure for young Jasmine. Spencer gets his one-on-one time with the TNT recruiter. And the TNT recruiter tells him straight up, man, last year we weren't looking at you because you weren't the player that we wanted. But after you got shot, that's when it clicked for me. I was like, okay, this is bad boy Spencer James. We could bring you down there. You take no prisoners. That's the kind I want, hard-hitting football. So when we got our back against the wall, 4th quarter, that's what I'm going to tell coach down there. We're going to get you down here. And Spencer's like, okay, but what do you mean you're going to help me out, though? And he's telling them, we're going to get your Instagram together, probably get you a blue check mark, make you look like a big star. We're going to do a package deal. That's going to bring you down to school. It's going to bring money in there. But he also tells Spencer, like, hey, that vigil that you're trying to go to tonight, don't let it get in the way of your dream of making it to the NFL. And you can help your people that way because the money is going to bring more money to the community. And Spencer's like, let me get back at you with this. Whole time Coop and Preach still over here studying. She ain't learning nothing. And she's looking at Spencer in his little meeting. And Preach calls her out like, if y'all ain't friends, you in his business a lot. What are you doing? And then Coop's like, oh man, well, just explain this government stuff to me so I can understand it. Read the book and you can understand it. Kia's visual is about to get started. Liv shows up. Mo's here. And hey, now we get to meet who the DA's daughter is. Mo's like, oh, does your mom know you're here? Talking to Liv because the DA is on the side of the cops. And that's why it's a delicate situation for Laura because she's white and she's on the side of the cops. And Mo is going to be on the side of Tamika, the black lady that was killed, the black young girl. And so she's just like, does your mom know you here? And Liv's like, yeah. So Mo, we know that Mo isn't as good as she says she is. So Mo's going to be trying to do something to probably try to get up under Liz's skin so to go back to Laura. Everyone gets up there. They say their piece. They say their little speeches for young Tamika, and then Coop gets up there and she gives a poem. It's actually pretty good, and it touches what's going on today. Just saying that we all need to come together. We need to protect each other and make sure that all of our young ones get the opportunity to see out their dreams, because a lot of us are dying too early, and unfortunately, some are by the hands of cops, the people put here to protect us. I really don't like doing too much of a serious moment in my recaps, especially on shows where I joke around, but Liv is here. She's just comparing herself to the young Tamika because they're both young black girls. And Liv was just thinking about when she drove drunk, she actually got in a wreck, but the cops gave her a ride home. Tamika was drunk. She pulled over, fell asleep. The cops came and they killed her. So Spencer's trying to tell her, don't compare yourself to her, because it's not your fault that you're alive and she's not. But for Liv, she's looking at it like, I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna fight for everything. I'm gonna get my life back in order, and she's gonna do the right thing, especially so this doesn't happen to any other young black women or even young black boys. She's gonna bring the awareness to everybody in the community. Here we go. TNT recruiter's talking to Billy, and he's like, listen, you need to convince Spencer to do whatever and be whatever image to get this scholarship from TNT. And Billy's like, nah, that image is going to follow him to college. It's going to follow him into the league, and that's just bad. TNT coach is like, it ain't going to matter. What you going to do when that professional check hit that bank account? And Billy's like, nah, man, we're not going to do it that way. And then the TNT coach asked him, you think the NFL is changing, Billy, but it's not really changing. It's a lot of people apologizing, but no one's offered Cap his job back. And Billy got to thinking. Now, I mean, I have my theory on Cap. They did give him a try. He didn't show up to the practice. He moved it to the other little tryout spot. Now, I don't know why he did it, but that's why they ain't messing with him. Principal and Grace keep running into each other. They might as well sync schedules, according to Grace, but they're up there, and you look over in the corner, who you see? You see Jasmine and Dylan. My boy Dylan doing his thing, you know what I'm saying? The young Spencer James, you know what I'm saying? But they're in here, and he's like, man, I took your advice. We're doing the father-daughter thing, but she's always grumpy, and she didn't want to go to this pool party. So she gets up and storms off because he's like, oh, and she has her stomach's been hurting him. Grace is like, have you had to talk with her? You know, she's probably started her period. He's like, oh my God, I didn't even think of that. Come on, man, your kid's 13, 14 years old, man. So this fool, being the principal that he is, the talk, okay, I'm ready for this. I got a PowerPoint and I got some note cards. Oh yeah, we're gonna get through this. And Grace is like, just have the talk with her. You about to mess some things up at that house. Coach Billy and assistant Spencer James are talking about, should I do everything that TNT recruiter's talking about and take that image and just go to college? And Billy's like, I don't really know. And Spencer, he's thinking money. He's thinking about the community. He's thinking about his mom and Dylan. With this new NCAA rule, we can get paid. So any opportunity to get paid and help take out my mom, hey, that's what I'm with. That's all I'm gonna say, Billy. I'm with it. And then we get a, man, who the hell knocking on the door at this time of night? It turns out it's Jordan. Now Jordan comes in. Billy's like, all right, y'all, I'm gonna shake a leg. They get in here. Jordan sees the pamphlet for TNT. He's like, oh man, congrats, Spence. That's what's up. You ain't never tell me about this. And Spence is like, well, I didn't want to throw it in your face. And at the same time, he probably was gonna say, dog, we've been hitting your ass up. You ain't been responding to nobody. Been playing that game for 2 weeks ever since you lied about that concussion and your mama not knowing about your marriage. So don't put this on me. But he's like, Spence, I'll always celebrate my brothers winning, man. You don't tiptoe around me. And Spencer's like, man, we don't know what you need, bro. We don't know you're not talking to none of us. But then Spence always has the information for everybody. He never knows how to help himself. He's like, you just got to look at it like this, Jordan. When I thought about football being over with for me after I got shot, you just got to look at it like, all right, let me just get through this day, move forward one day at a time. And then if football comes back around, then good. But never think negative about football being over. And Jordan's like, all right, you know what? You right. Everyone's starting to apologize now. It started with Jordan and Spencer, and now we get to see Layla and Coop kind of squash their little beef too. Now, Layla was supposed to help Coop earlier, and she left because she was just like, you know what? Get you somebody that can actually read you the right answers. Now, Coop's here, and she's over here editing on the Microsoft Surface a Spencer James highlighter or whatever she's doing, but it's Spencer. And Layla's like, I thought this is a Spencer's free zone. Coop says, look, I don't want the last thing to be between me and Spence to be negative energy. So me doing this video for him, doing him a solid, is pretty much going to lay our, our friendship to rest. Now, this kind of got Layla thinking, yeah, my feelings for Spencer ain't gone either, but maybe I should apologize because I was too hard on him. Maybe with me on the road, I was just too hard and I didn't give him a chance to hear his side. We gonna see. Coach Billy calls a practice on Saturday, and everybody's like, man, what's going on here? When they get in there, we're doing financial literacy 101. Pretty much letting the kids know with the new rules changing in college, you're going to have to learn about your finances, because if you don't know how, these agents, all these people out here, they're going to be trying to get with you because they know you don't know what's money coming in, how much money is coming out, and they're just going to rape you financially. They're just going to take everything you got. So Billy said for the next 6 weeks, I'm going to look out for all y'all. And pretty much this is just to let Spencer know, like, I heard you the other night. I know you want to take care of your family, but make sure that you have the right amount of money and no one is taking excess of any extra money. Hear me out, people. Hear me out. An hour ago, maybe 2 hours ago, we left the Crenshaw Cafe. We get a knock at the door. Guess who it is? It's Principal Carter. Principal Carter, hear me out, because you're not going to believe this. Principal Carter took his daughter to the house, drove to school, had to go find Grace James' address, Spencer James' mama's address, go pick up some flowers, then drive to the house to tell Gracie, thank you, because my daughter's on a FaceTime with her friend saying how cool my dad is. And Gracie's like, this is unnecessary. This is borderline stalker. This is not right. This should not be in the show. This principal is creepy and he does not need to be a principal. But long story short, him and Grace, they hitting it off. Turns out Coop put together a little, Spencer James looking into the future. That's what I call it. Spencer James future. And it just shows a small kid with the football jersey on, number 6, Spencer's number. And he's like, my dream is to play in the NFL and help my family out. And you hear Coop in the back, yeah, Spence, say that. Spencer's like, come on, Coop, we're recording. So this here is about to bring their friendship back together. One day, I knew this would happen. The young mixed kid and the white mother not understanding how it is for the black side. And Liv comes in here and she's, oh my goodness, why am I still alive and Tamika isn't? It just isn't fair. It isn't right. And Laura, being the mom, she has to tell her daughter, your situations are different, but they're not different. The only thing that's different is I have a white mom, but Tamika doesn't have a white mom. She's a black girl. And she gets on Laura talking about, we'll never know what actually happened because you and the police won't release the footage. Now, I always wanted to know, when would the black side of Liv and the white mom clash? It's inevitable. It's going to happen. It's just going to happen. Jordan got his when he got pulled over with Spencer. Y'all remember? TNT recruiter comes down here and he's talking to Spencer. And Spencer's like, listen, if y'all want to be in business with Spencer James, y'all got to accept me for me. The guy that took a bullet for his friend. The guy that got back in shape 100%. No, I'm not a social justice worker. That's not what I'm doing. I'm me. I should be the person you guys want on the field. Back against the wall, fourth quarter. I'm the one y'all should want. So the recruiter's like, okay, you know what? I got a lot of respect for you for standing up and saying that, but I got to go talk to the bosses about it. And if they good with it, then we good. So they gave a little handshake. Hey, so far, TNT, my boy Coop gave that verbal commitment. Layla comes over and she's giving back the Wonder Woman pennant that Liv gave her. And she's like, you actually deserve this. Your courage is actually inspiring me and motivating me to keep going on with everything I got going on. So they have a heart to heart. I know I always say people have a heart to hearts, but this is a real deal heart to heart here. And they're looking at each other and Layla's like, all those negative thoughts are just weighing me down. So I want to get all of that out of there, and let's go back to being sisters. Let's just be back together and have a strong friendship. Billy and the TNT recruiter, they're walking on out, and they look at the wall and they see Principal Carter. And the recruiter's like, man, his little ass is here. Billy's like, he ain't so little no more. He was like, dang, you got to report to him? That's your boss after you whooped his ass in 9th grade? And Billy's like, wait, that fight really happened? And Rollo like, yeah, wasn't really a fight. We had him pinned up and you whooped his ass and busted his lip. And Billy's like, I really don't remember this. Jordan shows up after 5-6 hours. I know JJ and Asher ain't been out here throwing that ball around all day. He done drove to Crenshaw, hung out with Spencer, and now he done came all the way back and they still out here. I'd have been like, boy, where's my Xbox? But he comes out and he tells JJ and Asher, you know what? I'm gonna be here for you guys. I'm gonna support you all, even if it is from the sideline. He gives JJ the ball. It's like, hey, keep that spiral tight. Asher goes out. JJ launches that thing. Even Spencer finally responded back to Coop. She sent them the little video about him when he was little, and he responded back to her. Now, we didn't get to see what it says, but he sent a message. Liv starts to watch the actual footage that was on the cop cam, and you see the girl's face, but they don't show the video. And she went to sleep on the side of the road because she's been drinking. Cops come over, they try to get her out the car, and she's like, hey, I was just over here sleeping. Let me call my cousin. She'll pick me up. Cops are dragging her out the car. They start getting on the ground. They always start lying about resisting arrest, which this is a young girl, like just 2 cops. Y'all should be able to physically be able to hold her where y'all need to. Didn't need to put her on the ground, but they put her on the ground. You hear her scramble. She's calling for her cousin, and then you hear gunshots. Liv finishes off her podcast saying that we need to defund the police. We need to hold people accountable for all the things that they're doing. We need to make a better change. The title of the show is called The Bigger Picture. And also she's saying this is happening every single day, and it's happening in the real world. So the way they portray it on here is very accurate, and they did a good job. Liv did a hell of a job. All right, there you go. Episode 11, the recap of All American, The Bigger Picture. Let me know, y'all think Spencer should go ahead and go to TNT? Let me know. I thought he was going to go to UCLA or something, but college is college. If you got a scholarship, take it. I'm MoedotJ. If you like the content on the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It's the easiest things you can do. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. Thanks for watching. I'm out.
Jimmy on the beat, boy.